Hello students and parents, Namaskar. Welcome to Career 360. If you are trying to do BTech or if your child is trying to do a BTech examination, this is a very important video for you. We're going to talk of an institution that has been there since the last 60 years, consistently delivered and has been bettering the IITs and beating the NITs every single year in terms of its placement rates, in terms of the kind of competition it has, and in terms of the quality of work that they do to ensure that the students have a very good outcome. We're talking of BITS Pilani. Now, BITS Pilani has 4 campuses, one in Dubai, one in Hyderabad, one in Goa, and of course, the first one being in Pilani. Now, to get into any of these campuses, the only pathway for you is an examination called BITSAT, which is called the Birla Institute of Technology and Sciences Admission Test. Let me explain to you why we're recommending this examination. I don't think it requires a recommendation, but it's important for me to take you through the whole thing. So let me tell you why we are recommending this examination. Now, BITS Pilani, if you look at the overall data point, it's ranked 20th in engineering. In my opinion, it should be in the top 10. The rank amongst private institutes is 3rd. In my opinion, it should have been the 1st. The NIRF overall ranking is 23rd. In my opinion, it should have been about 15 maximum. The university category is 19th. In my opinion, again, this should have been 10th. The careers ranking is 5As, which is the best. The QS ranking is 801 to 850. In my opinion, it should have been 500. And the NAC rating is A, whereas I would ideally want it as A++. So at every single level, though they got a very good rank, my opinion, based on the performance that they have, they should have been ranked far better and deserve far better than what the regulators and what the ranking agencies acknowledge it for. Now, let me take you through the history of BITS Pilani and why it ranks so high. Established in 1964. Now, it's an institution of eminence. Now, this status is given to only 4 universities till date in the country. 4 private universities, and one of them is this. The other ones being Amrita, Manipal, and Shiv Nadar and Jindal. So 4, and this is the 5th one that you have. All right. So this has got a status of institution of eminence, which frees it from all regulatory hurdles, and they can plan their own curriculum, pedagogy, and how they deal with the university. And that's why they have those campuses also. The campus size in Pilani is 328 acres. The total students, including the BSc and B Pharma students, is about 11,174 on the campus, of which about 87% are boys. Now, this happens because you're largely a BTech program, so there seems to be predominance of boys over girls because you also have core engineering there. The girls are 13%, and about 448 students have come from outside the country to study at BITS Pilani. So aspirationally, the campus is so good that the university and the education is so good that about 450 students have chosen to come to Pilani and study here. And they are from outside the country. Now, the Pilani campus, I've told you 328 acres. The Goa campus was established in 2004 and over 180 acres. The Hyderabad campus is established in 2008 and over 328 acres. And the Dubai campus was established in 2000, over 14 acres. So you actually have very big campuses in Hyderabad, Goa and Pilani. And then you also have a 14-acre campus in Dubai, which is the international campus that they have. Why do we recommend BITS Pilani? Let's dive deeper into the placement data, because ultimately a university or institution is also known for the kind of outcomes that the student have from after studying in the campus, right? So what we're going to show from now on is the data that is with either regulatory agencies or with the government of India or third-party sources. We're not going to show you data that is compiled from the marketing brochures of the university or institution. We're going to rely a lot on the third-party data or the regulatory data or the government of India data. Now, this particular data that I'm about to show you is filed with the Ministry of Education, Government of India. Right. So the data that we have here is in 22-23, the total sanctioned intake was about 2,961 in UG and 620 in PG. Right. And the total number of students that they have on the campus, because it's a 4-year program for BTech, B Pharma is about 3 years plus, and then you also have the BSc programs and those kind of things. The total students in the campus is about 11,174 for UG and about 1,286 for PG. So in all, you have about 12,500 students in the campus. Now, the most important thing which you'll be looking for, right, is in 22-23, the students who passed out of BITS Pilani was 2,804, of which 2,443 were placed at a median salary of 19 lakh rupees. Now, typically universities or institutions who operate at scale place the students about, the average median salary would be about 8, 9, 10 lakh rupees. But here it's about 19 lakhs. It's almost 2x of what you see in the other universities which, recruit at scale, right? And about 303 students obviously chose to pursue higher education. When you put this data in a summary sheet, what you see is this, that about 98% of its students got placed at a median salary of 19 lakh rupees. Because 2,831 were admitted, 2,804 passed, 2,443 were placed, and the other 303 opted for higher education. So 98% students are placed. Now the important thing that you need to look at is that the placement percentage has been consistently increasing from 92.36% to about 98%. The median salary has been increasing from 13 lakh rupees 2 years back to about 19 lakh rupees today. So there is a growth in the placement percentage as well as the median salary that is offered. In fact, the median salary jumped by almost 50% in just 2 years flat. And that is very, very remarkable. By the way, it's also important for you to know the kind of competition you have, right? I always tell you that when you deal with IITs and all, if you look at IITs, for IITs, NITs, you have 14 lakh student and about 45,000 seats, right? So you're dealing with essentially about 1:30 kind of a thing, right? For IITs, NITs and triple ITs, right? When you come to BITS Pilani, the 1,22,000 and 3,191, you're dealing with about 1:40 seats. So a BITS Pilani seat is more competitive than what you see for IITs and NITs, right? So here the competition is much more intense because you have 1,22,000 applicants for about 3,191 seats. And that is something that you need to understand. Now, we also started looking at the kind of companies that come from each of the campuses, because we have 4 campuses and we have to declare or talk of each of the campus and how the placement happens there. We looked at the campus separately, right? The number of companies that came in Pilani was about 314 and made about 1,112 offers. In Goa, 284 companies came and 878 offers were made. In Hyderabad, 320 companies came and 1,089 offers were made. In Dubai, 128 companies came and 136 offers were made. And there will be a lot of duplication in terms of the companies because the same company would be visiting each different campuses. But when you look at the whole thing, you have about 300 plus companies coming for placement, and the total offers that you see here is about 3,200, 3,300. Now, obviously, when we talk of scale and number, all we could do till now is actually give you the total numbers. But it's more important for you to understand what kind of companies come for placement, what kind of roles these alumni do. For that, we sort out the data on LinkedIn. There are 1,47,000 alumni of BITS Pilani which are on LinkedIn. Now, this also includes many students who've done their distance learning program from here, but so be it, but it will still give you a kind of indication of where students who studied at BITS Pilani ultimately land up in terms of the corporate profile. When we looked at the 1,47,000 alumni, this is what we found. The top 5 companies where the BITS alumni work, actually, about 4,000 students worked at Microsoft at some point in time. About 2.5% of BITSians at some point in time worked in Microsoft, and currently about 1% of them are right now working. In Google, about 2,000 students worked, which is about 1.5% of its total alumni profile. Right. In NVIDIA, about 1,480, which is 1% of the total students. In Apple, 1,122. In Meta, 585. All this we're talking of is trillion-dollar companies. If you typically look at the universities which recruit, at scale and also place at scale, the top 3 companies that you normally would have is TCS, Infosys, Wipro, HCL, and so on and so forth. Here it's just turned around because of the median salary that you see. Those companies, TCS, Infosys, and all, their salary ranges between about 5 lakh rupees to 10 lakh rupees, right? Here, when you deal with a 19 lakh average salary, then those companies don't compete as much as these guys would be. And which is where the best companies, trillion-dollar companies, come to BITS Pilani for placement. And so many students have worked at some point in time. So many students are right now working in these companies, and the median salary is 19 lakh rupees. Now, the other thing that I always look at is a good university would be able to place, give so much of a student outcomes that the students would be spread all over the globe and not just working in India or in a place where they've actually been domiciled in terms of the campus, right? So when you look at the BITSians here, in all, the 1,47,000 profile that we saw, about 72% are working in India. which also means that about 28% of its students are working outside of India. This is a very remarkable number. Of this 28%, when you look at it, about 15.5% students, or 22,773 of its students, are right now settled in USA or working in USA. This is a very, very remarkable number, which also means that about 12% students work in Europe, UK, and other parts of the world, but 28%, of which 15% actually work in USA. Then you look at the cities where they work in, about 20% work in Bangalore, right? About 8% work in Hyderabad, about 5% work in Mumbai, about 4.5% work in Delhi. So you actually see the metros ranking every single place in terms of where they're working and how they're working about, and that you can see in every single space. Now, the other thing that is asked to me is, okay, these people are working well, they're working in big companies, they're performing these kind of roles, but what kind of roles are they doing in these companies? And again, the breadth of the kind of work that the BITSians seem to be doing is extremely, extremely good. Obviously, because it's a BTech college, you will have more of engineering here. So about 32% of the students are doing engineering. About 11.5% are in information technology. Business development is about 9%, which means now there is a crossover to the business side of it. Then about 8.5% in operations, again crossover to the business side of it. Research is about 5%. Program and project management is about 4%, and about 4% in consulting. Now, what have they studied at BITS Pilani to be where they are? A lot of them have studied computer science, obviously. But again, the interesting thing for me is that even students who studied electrical and electronic engineering and mechanical engineering, both core engineering subjects, seem to be doing very, very well, because about 30,000 of these students, 31,000 of these students, or the 1.49 lakh, seem to be included there, and they seem to be doing very, very well for themselves. Now, the important question that comes back to is, okay, if you want to get into BITS Pilani, the only pathway is BITSAT. Can you tell us how difficult is BITSAT and how different it is from JEE examination? So what we did now is comparing the JEE examination with BITS Pilani, BITSAT examination, and what is extra, or how you must go about preparing for it, right? Now, both are almost similar examinations. Both are computer based. Both are 3 hours. In BITSAT, you have one English subject extra. Otherwise, physics, chemistry, and mathematics is the same for both. Now, in BITSAT, you have 130 questions because all are MCQs. In JEE, you also have numerical questions, and which is where there's slightly extra time, right? So, 130 questions, 390 marks, which means 3 marks for each right answer and 1 negative mark for each wrong answer. So, you have 130 questions and 390 marks. All are MCQs. Each correct answer 3 and 1 minus 1 for negative, right? In JEE, the only difference is in that there are 75 questions, right, and 300 marks. So right answer is 4 marks, but MCQs, and you also have numerical value, and 4 marks for right answer and minus 1 for wrong answer. So with all these things, why do we even talk of BITS Pilani? I've already told you with the data of why you should be looking at it. A university which has been there for the last 60 years, expanded very, very consistently, without greed of trying to hire 20,000 students or 10,000 students, which has always focused on outcomes, which ensured that the students are well placed, which ensured that 98% of its students are getting placed year on year, and also at a very, very good median salary, and gives you a very good research-based outcomes also, is a university that you must look for. When you have a university whose alumni are spread all over the globe, and in every single company, in every single metro in the country, you are likely to find a BITSian wherever you go and whatever you do. And from that perspective, alumni networks are very, very important for students who are choosing universities, and BITS Pilani seems to be cracking that also. So please look at BITS Pilani. And last request from my side is, please, if you're not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe at this point in time, because we're going to keep bringing to you extremely data-driven, in-depth studies of what you must be doing that will help your career. We're going to cover lots more institutions, lot more placement statistics, and we'll also alert you of what not to do as you move along. So please subscribe to this channel. It will only benefit you, and that is my promise to you. Thank you so much. Namaskar.